Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Sunday morning and the Old Cookbook Show. We're going to do another recipe out of Cape Cod Kitchen Secrets. This was published in 1949. It was sent in by a viewer in a box of books. Thank you very much for adding to the collection. Yarmouth Branch Cape Cod Hospital Aid Association, a fundraiser for a hospital. And it's filled with some very interesting recipes. And we've already done one. We did grape nut bread, turned out amazing. Take a look for that recipe somewhere else on the channel. The recipe above that caught my eye because it has a check mark. I love it when previous owners of cookbooks that I now own wrote in them. And there's quite a bit of writing in this book. Little notes about whether they liked a recipe, what they didn't like about the recipe, what they changed to make the recipe more to their liking. And often recipes are marked with a check mark or an X. The X is sometimes a little bit difficult to decipher. Did they actually like the recipe? Or is it X and don't ever make this? In this case, check mark, very clear. They obviously liked this recipe. And it caught my eye because it's a cold oven popover. If you're in England or one of the Commonwealth nations, every time I say popover, insert Yorkshire pud. Roughly analogous. Popovers are often served individually in a sweet type setting, sometimes with jam or frosted sugar on top or something like that. Kind of more closely related to a Dutch baby pancake. There's so many branches. Anyway, I've known a lot of chefs who make Yorkshire puddings by using temperature control and controlling how the oven temperature is handled during different phases of cooking. They'll often start off in a really hot oven and then turn the temperature down the closer they get to being done. That whole make sure your pan is smoking and your oil is smoking hot. This recipe, start out in a cold oven, turn the heat on, don't oil the pan. I gotta make it. So in this measuring jug, I've got milk and 2 eggs. I'm going to add salt and melted butter. And we'll give that a whisk. Now, I'm just going to whisk in the flour a little bit at a time. It says gradually until smooth. I think my biggest problem with this recipe is it starts with a cold oven. The only time I have a cold oven is in the morning. Often when I come out to the studio and I'm going to cook on a day, first thing I do is turn on the oven 350 degrees because I know I'm going to use the oven 2 or 3 times during the day. And you get up to 350, it's very easy for me to sort of adjust from that point. If I need to go to a hotter oven, it doesn't take long to get to a hotter oven, and it doesn't take longer to get the oven cooler. So I'm having to bake these first thing in the morning before I turn the oven on. Which could be a bit of a problem when it comes to tasting because Julie doesn't get home for 5 or 6 hours from now. And popovers, like Yorkshire pud, are something that are best eaten hot out of the oven. When I make a Yorkshire pudding, take the roast out of the oven, put the pudding in, and it is cooked by the time everything else makes it to the table, and it goes directly from the oven to the table. We'll see how this works out. I may have to taste them before Julie gets home. Okay, so this is a popover pan. It says to use custard cups, but this is a mini, petite popover pan. I guess if you want something to sound fancy, you use French. So total volume for this is 3 cups. I have 2 cups worth of batter. Fill them 2/3 full and see where that gets us. Okay, I'm going to put this on a sheet tray just because, you know, accidents. Put it in the oven, and we're going to set the oven to 415 degrees Fahrenheit, and it says to leave it for an hour. Timing could be a little bit strange on this because who knows how quickly their oven heated. Maybe it heated really quickly. Maybe it heats much faster than mine, or maybe it was slower than mine, an hour. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'll come back at about 30 minutes and see what happens. Okay. Cold oven. Cold oven. Pan in. 415. Okay. Start. And away we go. So 45 minutes have gone by, and I'm going to say these are done. So pull them out of the oven, and I got to say, they look really good. Can I get them out? Are they stuck? Yeah. 100%. 100% stuck. Okay, so against my better judgment, I followed the instructions and I didn't grease the cups. If I had greased the cups, these would have been probably some of the best popovers I've ever made. Yeah. Okay. We'll wait for Julie to get home and we'll see what happens. But I think this is my new go-to recipe.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Jules.
Hey, friends. Those look fun. Are they popovers?
Yes.
They don't pop so much.
No.
They popped up nicely, though.
They pop. This is now my go-to recipe with one change.
Did you leave them in too long?
No. They pour into custard cups. They need not be greased.
Oh.
They need to be greased.
And this is even like a Teflon-y kind of...
Yeah. So you need to grease. Doesn't matter what the recipe says. You need to grease them. But I got incredible puff out of them.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of a big hole there.
And when I had one when it was hot, and the texture was amazing.
It looks great. There's lots of air bubbles.
So the trick with this one was put it in a cold oven.
Oh. Okay. It tastes good.
I know. Imagine this with some gravy.
I was going to say, now I'll have to make gravy.
So this flips on the head everyone who says it's got to be a screaming hot oven, smoking hot oil. Pull the pans out, fill them really quickly, get it back in the oven so you don't lose any heat from the pan to get the puff in the loft. Cold oven, set to 415 degrees Fahrenheit. And the recipe says an hour. I pulled these out at 45 minutes. So a modern oven will cook them a little bit faster.
So that's an hour, including the time it takes to get up to 415. Does it even get to 415 in that time? It must.
Yes. So from the time you turn on the oven until you pull them out, this was 45 minutes. Your oven may vary. These are great.
Except for that sticking on the edge problem. Well, there you go.
We'll just keep picking at it. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.